from the Eccentric Man, and this evening we're doing a practice game for roll call. Andy, this is back to us, is running his Soviets because he's going to take them. He's foregone his Germans and he's going for the Soviet horde. So we've just rolled up a normal scenario out of the book because roll call tends to use the scenarios from the book and also a couple of other ones that used to be on the WWPD net. What was one of them? Black Hawk Down or something like that, wasn't it? Table set up by the store manager before he left because they swap over. So Steve kindly set this one up. So we've rolled up top secret. So we've put a tank down, and the tank has got some ultra secret modifications to the wireless network for the Soviets, I suppose. So we're trying to catch that and take that away. So just going to set up and have a look at the armies. So we're going to have to transport in time to around about 1942-43, 43, when the Italians capitulated and came onto the side of the Allies and did a bit of attacking of the Germans, I think. So I've got my Italians here, boosted up from the 1,000 points for Cam's Bridge Too Far up to 1250 for this one. So if we go through, I've got first a second lieutenant and his mate. For one platoon, it's a dual platoon list, and within that one I've got 2 paratroops, small squads, the truck with an MMG, flamethrower, and the little L640 at the back. For the other squad, I've got an officer, 2 regular units of 8, sniper team, medium howitzer, medium mortar, a M1440. Oh yeah, and the some event is in the first platoon. So that's what we're running for the Italians. For the Soviets, I'll just pan across for the moment. 19 dice is going to be playing 14 for the Italians. So, shall we start from the left-hand side then, Andy?
Okay. Veteran Jeep.
Veteran Jeep.
With an MMG. No transport. Regular Tokarov. 4 MMGs on the back. Regular T-34-76. 4 squads of 5 SMG regulars.
Right.
2 medium howitzers with spotters, regulars.
Right.
1 heavy mortar with spotter, regular.
Yep.
3 units of 4 tough tank hunters.
3 units of 4.
3 units of 4.
Yep.
Regulars. 2 snipers, regular.
Yep.
3 infantry squad, inexperienced tank hunters.
Yep.
Senior lieutenant with his mate. Commissar, inexperienced. Junior lieutenant on his own. Both of the officers are regular.
Right, so that's a pretty big horde formation, isn't it? Right, so that would be an interesting game, but it's going to have a bit of work cut out for this one. So let's see who's going to get first turn and decide which side people are going to come on. So we've rolled off, and I got to choose the sides, and I'm going to stay with this side. The tank, we've deviated from the centre. It was 2d6 and it went 5, and it went towards the right hand flank here. For this scenario, it is to get somebody there. At the end of the turn, they're in contact with it, and then they can run off with it. However, nothing starts on the table, so everything comes in on reserves, with the exception of units that set up first, which could be very bad news for the Italians. Interesting one that we've been doing as we've been deploying. Although it's a scenario, it says no troops are on the table, but they come on from reserve. In a lot of the games that we play and all the tournaments we play, that you can forward deploy units that have the forward deploying role, and so that's snipers, observers, and things like that. But with the Soviets, we've got the tank hunters who can forward deploy. So in this scenario, they could actually deploy onto the objective and then run off with it at the end of the turn and start the next turn. it is an interesting one. So perhaps this was not one of the better ones to choose. But there he goes, it came up random. So Andy, rather than take that option, has put his two tank hunting units over in the trees over there. He's got another tank hunting unit over in the trees over here. An observer in the bell tower. Sniper in the church bottom window. Don't know about another sniper. Ah, yes, hidden. So another sniper in the field, and an observer. Is he going to be able to see much? Right, just wondering. Hey, I was just wondering. Do you want to move him?
No.
Oh, correct. Right, so yeah, we're going to go to turn 1 and see how the dices roll.
Was a bit odd with how it was running with the secret mission, so we did decide that couldn't set up. Well, Spike decided he wasn't set up on the objective straight away. So key thing for this one is for me is trying to keep control of some of his units. You know, if I can get my truck of paratroopers up to the objective, disembark, and then capture it. Going to be tricky because he's got the forward deploying anti-tank teams. They are a bit tricky, so what I'm going to try and do is suppress them, get them pinned, and see if I can hold them down. But there's quite a few troops that he can use to claim that objective and get it off the table. So it's going to be quite tricky just to close them down. But we'll see how we go. We've got some artillery, we've got the Summervent, we've got the medium howitzer, and we've got the mortar, so that might give us a bit of a chance on how it's going to work. So let's go into the game and see how it's going to go.
That was an interesting turn. As you can see there, I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 units that failed their leadership test to come on. In the first turn for top secret, the units have to roll as if they're coming on from turn 2 in reserve. So obviously they get the -1 leadership, and it did not work very well for me. I had 5 units that stayed off table, and Andy had. You got 1 more to roll?
Yeah.
So he's got 4 that stayed off the table, the 2 big heavy howitzers, medium howitzers. He's got a roll for the Tokiev. Rolling for the Tokiev.
Yeah, I'll show you as soon as I've decided.
So, whilst he's doing this, I'll just do a little preamble. So, advanced on the Italians, trying to shoot up that unit there. Yeah, that'll come on. So, tried to shoot up, didn't manage to kill one with so many shots, but I have put 4 pins on them. Took out his sniper with my sniper. The artillery piece moved on, but it has taken a pin from his jeep that came on. My Summervent came on, did nothing. Well, apart from put 1 pin on with the pintle mounted machine gun. Over on this side, the T-34 came on and took a punt and shot at my Summervent, but fortunately missed because it would have been side, and the Summervent is vulnerable on the side. So we've got another tank hunter unit coming up to the threaten. I zapped my truck up, hoping that I can disembark the troops this next turn. We shall see how that works. Let's hope for a bit better use of the dice coming out and not so many going down. So, yeah, moving to turn 2, I would hazard a guess. Once that little mobile machine gun battery is set. Ready to whiz around the corner and give bursts, I would hazard a guess. So we'll see how my truck fares from that one. My cunning plan didn't quite work. First dice out was Andy with his Tokarov. It's come around the corner, handbrake turn, took a shot with its 20 machine gun shots, but only managed 1 hit on the truck, which got a penetration but immobilised it. So I had to jump out with 3 of my units which were in the truck. I know it's a big risk strategy, and it nearly went pear-shaped totally. But not so bad, this. They've all jumped out and they've got a pin each. But they are up against the tank with the secret radio system. However, to actually claim to be in contact with it, you've got to run or advance. You can't hop out as a down. So this turn they can't claim the wireless equipment and run off with it. So, but they are there, which is a part of a bonus, I suppose. So into turn 2, and a very mixed bag of fortunes there. Paratroopers have been whittled down, so they've lost 3 men, passed their leadership test. Fortunately, they're stubborn, the parachutists, so there's 2 men left, but they're on 2 pins. These ones here were lucky to just take 1 pin, not lose a man. The Soviets that advanced up against the fence to try and up against the hedge to try and take them out had a very nasty surprise when the 1440 came on and shot them. But they did pass the leadership test. Lost 2, passed the leadership test. That was okay. I'm trying to think which one did I take. That was there, wasn't it? I took out the NCO and because it was double sixes.
NCO and 1.
Yeah, double sixes followed by double sixes, which was quite astounding. The inexperienced troops are rushing up to try and do something with their Molotovs. The main gun, well, I say the main gun, the light anti-tank gun, did manage to penetrate the T-34 and immobilised it, and it's got turret jam facing towards the 1440. So it's got 2 pins, but it was quite useful. The SAM event, we tried with the SAM event, moved it up to take a shot at the Tokarov, but missed. So that one's free to move again. And he's moved up his infantry, waves of infantry coming up, and took a gung-ho drive with his jeep to try and kill the flamethrower team, but survived. He needed 6s followed by 6s. If he had stayed back where he was, he would have needed 6s followed by 6s, so a learning curve there for him. These ones went down as the Italian infantry moved up. However, looming on the horizon is a medium howitzer.
Yes. That's
come on to give a bit of grief and trouble. My one-man turret, L640, even though I've got an officer within 6, failed its leadership test and went down. The artillery piece took a punt at the jeep but missed it, so that allowed the jeep to carry on forward. And I had my mortar team fail to come on as well. So yeah, and he's got another more medium howitzer to come on over there, which failed. So going into turn 3 now, it's pretty close. Who's going to get the first dice to get to the tank? Because you've got to run to the tank. I couldn't get it because with them coming out of the truck, they had to go down. So it's a run or an advance order to get to the tank to get the secret plans, or the secret wireless, whatever. So, into turn 3, and I can say it is a game of failed dice throws. In the majority of cases, I've done a lot of failing leadership tests. So the flamethrower team went down. I had to put the other unit of paratroopers down because that Tokarov fired at them with the 20 shots, but only managed to put a pin on them, so I was quite lucky there. The unit of paratroopers in the middle took another pin from Spike's little team there that ran up, but again I failed my leadership test and they went down. Little tank did quite a useful bit. I stupidly gung-ho advanced it up to get a good shot on the T-34, forgetting that those little infantry troops are armed with anti-tank grenades. They can make a mess of my little tank. Fortunately, I managed to put a pin on them with the machine gun, and they failed their green test. They rolled a 1, so they took 3 pins for that and went down, so I was quite fortunate there. T-34 luckily failed its leadership test and went down. Couldn't reverse because it's immobilised, but that was a bit of a bonus to me. Some event didn't do anything, tried to fire it at the jeep and it missed. The medium howitzer tried to hit it and that missed. Fortunately my mortars come on this turn, so that's quite useful. I keep trying to kill these guys in the middle, but they go down. Managed to immobilise the jeep with a shot, but it's got 2 pins and it's machine gun will fire if he passes the leadership test. More Soviet infantry moving up, the one pin that I put on the front rank of the Soviets, the one with the little red dot, I managed to put one pin on them from the sniper before, and that was enough for them to fail their leadership test and go down, which helped. It's a real cat and mouse game there. I think the Soviets may well have enough troops to get to the tank first, depending on what dice comes out. More tank hunters moving up, and is that no? What's the little team there? Is that your officer team?
Which one? Those?
Yeah. Little officer team moving up as well. I'm trying to counter that. Sadly, the L640 failed its leadership test again, even with the officer present, so they went down. These have moved up. They forced the middle tank hunter unit to go down, but they did get a shot and a pin from the tank hunters there. There has been a firing ranging shot from the heavy mortar on my artillery piece. Needed a 6, got a 5. Next turn he needs a 5, so let's hope it drops by 1 and he gets a 4. But we'll see that, so that could be a risk. So, moving into turn 4, and it's going to be a game of dice. Well, fortunately, my little tank survived the attack of the tank hunters. The Tokarov got the next dice out and targeted my unit of 8 regular infantry. You can see that where that one man is standing. And I took the thought, yeah, I'll let them stand. It was needing 3s, and then 4s to kill. And he managed to kill 7 out of the unit. So I've got to take a little leadership test at -1. I'm feeling confident with all the high dice rolling that I've done for leadership tests.
On his own?
He's on his own, but he's not the NCO. So it's -2. I've got no leader, so he's down 9 to 7. And a 4. So he stands. He's brave. What a turn that was. That was a humdinger. Soviets, I think, have tipped the balance on this one. As we said the video before, the tank hunters failed to kill it. The T-34 failed its leadership test and went down, so therefore Andy had to throw in the infantry. They failed to get it. Over here, there's been a bit of decimation of the paratroopers. They've lost the flamethrower team. There's 2 men left there. Officers have moved up to try to bulk it up, but it didn't work. The little tank hunters decided to kill the truck. And then my little lone man has gone as well. Mortar has gone. A direct hit with a 6 from the heavy howitzer killed 3 of the gunners. A little bit better over here. Managed to take out 2. However, there has been some fraught dice rolling because with the number of units that the Soviets took out in that turn, I had to throw them forward because that unit has got the secret wireless communication machine, and I've got to try and stop them running off with it this turn. So I advanced out my paratroopers, and we both wiped out each other with the dices. But it did mean that there's not a unit there. However, these ones run through the gap to put pressure. I tried shooting at them with my tank and missed. I only needed a 4. 3 and missed, which was a real shame. So things not going good. Yeah, the Avanti Soari rule, it's a -2 leadership test for any morales that I have to take. And it's not looking good as we go into the turn 5. Dice, needing 5s. Needing 5s because they went down. And he was very good for me, and he saw that I had 2 dice, and I managed to kill 2, so it took them down below half strength, and they failed their leadership test, so the black box has been dropped. So who's going to get the next dice to get to it, to pick it up? Oh no, it's Soviets! Oh, I'm not going to be able to get rid of that one. Well, we sort of run out of a bit of time in the game store, but the game wasn't going anywhere, because it's a draw, because for this actual scenario, the winners would have to have got the black box off the table, but unfortunately couldn't do that this time. I think throwing my troops in, sacrificing them, was the only way to go to try and prevent it, which was useful in the end. But dice-wise, it was a bit of a massacre. That's 7 Italian dice gone to only 3 Soviets. At the end of it, it was the horde numbers of the Russians, I think, which really did come into play and close down. The little tank hunter units are really quite nasty little units against vehicles, just the pressure of them and their mobility. And you've just got 5-man squads of the SMGs, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah, and the sheer numbers of them, you can't kill them all with this, I think, on this one round. So yeah, good game. Nice playing the Russians for a change, and giving Andy a game. So yes, food for thought for when we look at my list for roll call.
So, not one of the best scenarios, perhaps, for practicing, but it was a fun game. And even with the Italians, I did have to throw them in to try and keep that unit engaged. I think Spike hasn't played this one very often because he probably didn't realise that he could have passed the parcel with the objective once he had got troops in. Part of the strategy, yeah, it did work. Trying to pin down those anti-tank squads did work. Trying just to keep them occupied. Almost worked with the paratroops. Probably just not enough, really, to do it. Yes, considerations for the tournament in March. I love the L640 little tank, but now it's a problem because they've FOQ'd single-man turrets. So even if they come on in the first wave, you now have to roll a leadership test. And in this game, 3 leadership tests failed. So out of 6 turns, that's 50% failure rate. It's not good enough, really. I think it's bad enough playing Italians and their national rules to give yourself another arm tied behind your back. So the L640 sadly is going to be ditched in favour of the Auto Blinder, which is an armoured car, 8 front, I think. It could even be 7. But it has got a light auto cannon, does move a bit faster, obviously can't go over rough ground, but it is not a one-man turret, so that will work much better. So that's what we're going to go for. Hope you enjoyed this game. It was a fun game. I must admit, it was a fun game, even though, as I say, the problems with the scenario, we can sort that out next time. We know what we can house rule to amend it. So, yeah, but good fun. Hope you enjoyed it as much as we did. Please give it a like if you do, subscribe if you haven't, and share with your friends. Thank you very much for watching, and see you soon.